Crowhill here. Today we review a homebrew and discuss cancel culture. Well, hey, good evening, Pigweed.
Good evening, Crowhill. How about some beer and conversation?
Oh, that's a great idea. So what are we drinking?
This is a homebrew that I made.
Oh, right. Fantastic. Snuck it past Chesterton over there?
Yes, I did.
Oh,
yes,
right.
I did.
Okay.
So what's on your mind?
Well, have you heard the phrase consequence culture?
No, I think you're mixing it up with something else, but go ahead.
Well, so when somebody says that's cancel culture, they say, no, it's consequence culture. That there are consequences for
All
for
we're
what you
doing
say.
is holding you to a standard.
Yeah, so I was thinking about that consequence culture. That reminds me of something. Remember that kid, Nick Sandman?
Yeah.
Who was at a he was at a event downtown.
Downtown?
Yeah, and some Native American guy came up and was like beating a drum right in his face. And he just
Because he had on a red hat?
Yeah, because he was wearing a red hat. And he just kind of politely looked at him. Everybody interpreted it as mean for some reason.
I don't know, something.
Yeah, something weird. And then CNN, Washington Post, all these different news outlets said all these nasty things about the poor kid. All he was doing was trying to be polite.
Yeah, he was just on a field trip with the rest of his Catholic high school.
Yeah, so they tried to cancel him, but they got the consequences.
Oh,
CNN
so
and Washington Post had to settle with Nick Sandman. The undisclosed amount, but probably millions of dollars.
Probably millions.
Yeah. So that's consequence culture. But that's just a little side light on this whole silliness about cancel culture, which we'll talk about some more. But first, tell me the story on this beer.
So the consequences of this beer are that it's a Black IPA.
Okay.
Which, generally a beer, it leans malty or leans hoppy.
Yeah.
And this is supposed to be a beer that is kind of both.
Right.
So I'm expecting, I tried to get some citrusy hop flavors,
which always seems strange to get citrus flavors in a black beer.
Right. So right, it should be, and so that was the idea. And so this is my first time trying it since bottling, and at bottling, it was good flavor, and but not the citrusy hops.
Great flavor, and definitely you can taste that black malty backbone there, but not a lot of citrus.
No. Although it is smellier than a normal black beer.
No.
Which black beers don't have hoppy
Mm-hmm.
smell. And this does. I'm just not sure if I'm getting the citrusy
I'm not getting the
flavors.
citrus so much. But I really enjoy that dark. What did you use for the darkness?
So this is the only recipe I've ever come across that calls for a melanoidin hop.
Oh, yeah. I mean malt. Melanoidin malt.
Malt.
Yeah.
And that, they say, gives a kind of a burnt toast or something. But I don't know if that's what makes this, what's unique about the malts in this. It is the only beer that I've ever used that malt in. All right, but it's definitely got some hoppiness that you don't get in a stout.
Yeah.
But
well, it's good. It's very good. I'm sorry that you're not getting the citrus you were looking for, but it's still very tasty and very...
That's it. It doesn't. You look at a beer like that, you're going, well, it's a stout or a porter, and I can at least say it doesn't taste like a stout or a porter.
That's right. That's right. All right.
So wait a minute. Consequence culture. I thought we were talking about cancel culture.
Well, we are, but the response to cancel.
I see.
The people who want to defend cancel culture.
Exactly.
They say no, it's not cancel culture. It's consequence culture.
You're just being held to.
There's consequences for what you say.
Proper standard.
Yeah.
Whose proper standard may
exactly.
I ask? I think that's what we're talking about here.
Isn't that the issue?
Yes.
So if you're at work and somebody says something that you don't like, you immediately, of course, try to rouse up everybody to get them fired, right?
Of course. Somebody is exhibiting wrong think.
Yes, exactly. If somebody says something negative about beards, or they say, who knows? They say something that you don't agree with. First thing you do is you write it down, you file a complaint, you get everybody else upset, and you say, we can't have this. This doesn't.
All right, this person has the wrong, I don't feel safe.
This is harmful. This is hateful.
Harmful, yes, that's a good one there. Right. Words are violence. So give me some, let
me give you a definition. This is a definition of cancel culture. Now, there's a lot of people trying to define it. Cancel culture is the practice of organizing collective pressure, usually online, against a person, brand, or institution in response to something they said or did, often with the goal of damaging their reputation, limiting their influence, or causing professional or social consequences, such as losing a job, sponsorship, or platform.
Right. So I think the difference is calling somebody out. I mean, HR saying, Bill, you can't tell jokes like that.
Yes.
All right, that's one thing. Trying to take away a man's livelihood so that his children can't eat and he can never work again. I mean, that's where you get into cancel culture rather than just sort of corrective action.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So if somebody, and also, there's two different scenarios. One is somebody's at the office and they're telling off-color jokes in the lunchroom.
Yeah.
And you say, look, it's really not appropriate for you to do that. That's an HR thing. HR pulls them aside and says, Bob, quit doing that.
Yes.
Okay. But what if...
And the consequence here is, getting called into the office.
Right.
And now, you've had your hand slapped. And
then you don't do it anymore, at least if you have any sense.
Yeah.
So then, let's say, though, that Bob writes for a dirty magazine and, posts...
On his own time.
On his own time. And he writes all kinds of nasty jokes about, whatever, that people say, that's offensive, I hate it, it's blah, 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 blah. What happens then? See, that's where cancel culture comes in.
Right.
Because this isn't just a matter of HR.
I see. That's the difference between...
It is. It's not just HR saying you can't do this in the office. This is where we're investigating your life outside the office.
Yes.
And we find out that you work for a communist weekly newspaper, or you work for a Christian nationalist newspaper, or whatever the heck it is. And then I am so offended and I can't possibly work next to somebody like that because I don't feel safe and blah, 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 blah.
And isn't this a poor reflection on your company that you would employ somebody like this?
That's right. Exactly. So that's what cancel culture has become. And it's obviously a big issue now because of the Jimmy Kimmel thing, which we'll get to.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But technology plays all of the parts here. So before this, everybody knows that when you go out with your boss on a fishing trip, boy, he's going to tell some raunchy jokes, and they know that
because it's not being recorded.
Raunchy Bill, and everybody knows that guy. He's got some real winners. You never hear, you never hear them in the office or anything. But and then somebody sneaks a recorder in. And now they play it for other people, and I think to myself, it's the same joke. Why is he now a bad guy?
Yeah.
Before he was just raunchy Bill guy on his own time, camping weekends with the guys.
Yeah.
Now he's a horrible human being. The only difference is the technology.
Yes, and also there's another difference is just the unwillingness to accept that other people have different standards and different ideas about things. Like, so some guy tells these raunchy jokes. Okay, that's, sorry, we make widgets in this factory.
Right.
And okay, that guy tells raunchy jokes, and that guy, has too many subscriptions to pornographic magazines, and that guy, like, okay, that's just the way people are, and, okay, that's just it.
Right.
And what's happened is, we've developed this intolerance where if you don't fit within this zone, that I don't know who has defined what this zone is, but some group of people have defined this zone. You have to live your life within this zone, or you don't deserve to have a job, and you should be destroyed.
Well, we had this, but it's the social media.
Yeah.
This confluence of technology.
Yeah.
And a few events, like Me Too. So what are we talking about here year-wise? Like, when does... I remember somebody asking me a few years ago, before when virtue signaling was just sort of becoming a term.
Right, yeah.
Right? Some people had heard of it, woke right?
Yeah.
Some people were using it, some people had never heard of it.
Yeah.
So cancel culture had its early moments, and then it's sort of universally, everybody knows what we're talking about.
Yeah, I think it's like 2018, that kind of time
2018,
frame.
2019.
That kind of time frame is when people became aware of what cancel culture. Now, it had been used before, and the concept was around, but it didn't really come into popular. And it seems to be somewhat associated with Me Too.
Me Too, that hit about that time. We had, peak. That was followed by Flovid and BLM,
right.
And this sort of definition of what is appropriate to be applied to everyone.
Yeah, and the intolerance of, if you don't fit into what I think, the way people should behave, then you. So,
but it also became. Then I guess with the pendulum swing.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, I think we're on our way back, but not entirely.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you got to not saying something.
Yeah.
You can't just not be a racist. You have to be anti-racist.
Oh yeah.
You can't just say no. What you didn't put a black square on your Instagram, right? You have to.
Right. So that's the virtue signaling side of it.
Yeah. Yes. You're like. So you mean I just can't not say any? No. Well, you like the J.K. Rowling thing.
Yeah.
You can see the pendulum swing back, and now Emma, what's her face, is.
And then there's
come crawling back.
There's also self-censorship that happens because of all this.
Yeah.
That because there's some blue-haired monster in the cube, down the hall, who is just eager to be offended.
She's got her radar.
Yeah. That's like what she lives for every day. Wakes up every morning and thinks, who can I be offended by? What monster can I dig out of the out of the world here and be upset about it? So other people self-censor. They're not willing to say things because they're afraid the blue-haired monster is going to come after them. Yeah. And
you got some more
facts over here. I was thinking about this sort of continuum. And the continuum goes sort of like, I disagree with you, but we can still be friends. Next up the chain, I disagree with you, but we can still be civil. We're not really friends, but we can still be civil. I can work with you, but don't really want to have lunch with you or, go fishing or have a beer.
Yeah.
I don't want to do business with you. Like, you're just somebody.
Step.
That's the next step. Next step, I want to organize a boycott to destroy your business and ruin your livelihood.
Yeah.
And then the last one is I want to kill you.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, what used to be, I disagree with you, but we can still be friends, has ramped all the way up to, I want to organize a boycott to destroy your business and ruin your livelihood.
Yes. Now, do we want to? Are we ready for the Charlie Kirk and the?
Yes. Yeah. Let's talk about Charlie Kirk.
Okay. And how this topic came to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Charlie Kirk gets murdered, and the left is dancing on his grave. Oh, some parts of the left, obviously not the entire left. Some parts of the left is dancing on his grave, saying, "Good, who's next? He deserved it."
Or hey,
misrepresenting what he said.
You asked for, you asked for. I mean,
exactly.
You get what you ask for.
Yeah.
When people this evil speak words this awful,
right?
What else can you expect?
Exactly.
A lot of that sort of justification
and totally misrepresenting what he said about various things.
Yeah.
Quoting him completely out of context, and I've seen clear examples of that where they would take one little portion. Like there was one where he was saying, this other person said, and then he says this thing. I disagree with that because blah, 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 blah. And some newspaper quoted him as saying...
Because the words actually did come out of his mouth.
It did, yes. But he was saying that they were wrong. Anyway, that kind of garbage goes on all the time.
So, how this came about.
Yeah.
I am seeing, nurses, teachers, social workers,
right.
Politicians, all gleefully celebrating and getting called out.
Yes.
And getting fired. Mm-hmm. And so
Getting
I said,
canceled.
I remember a time when back in the probably
The Me
2020,
Too era,
a little bit
yeah.
after this, where you and I went on, like we're talking now, about how bad cancel culture is.
Yes.
And my question is, well, I am gleefully watching these people getting fired.
Right.
Am I guilty of the same cancel culture?
Yes.
So that's really what we're getting at.
Yes,
This
exactly.
is the build-up to this discussion of, am I selectively choosing, conservative cancel culture is okay, but liberal cancel culture is not, and help me parse this out.
Yeah, so the first thing that I want to point out is the very fact that you ask that question. The very fact that you say, am I being fair? Am I applying the rules justly?
Right.
Shows that you're a conservative, because liberals do not do that. Liberals don't care that they apply the rules unfairly here and there, and it's obvious all the time. So, I mean, the very fact
you're saying something nice about me.
I am actually.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I mean, the very fact that you ask the question shows that you have a conscience, and like you think about things.
Sense of like a vague sense of fairness.
Yeah, that sort of thing. But it seems to me that there's all the difference in the world between wanting to destroy somebody who disagrees with you on a political topic and wanting to destroy or make them lose their job somebody who is ghoulishly dancing on someone's grave because after they've been shot. There's a big difference there.
Yes.
If you come in and say, I'm not so sure that there should be hate crimes, or you have some political...
say, you know what, I really don't think that George Floyd was a good guy, and he probably died from drug overdose.
Right. That's an opinion, and somebody else
that
might...
That gets you canceled in 2020.
Exactly. That kind of thing gets you canceled in 2020. But now we're talking about people saying, oh, he deserved it for what he said. And, who's next? Should Matt Walsh be shot next? Right. And, this just ghoulish reaction from certain elements of the left. And those are the people, like, okay, you are being tended by a nurse. You're in the hospital, and there's a nurse who's working with you. And this nurse has publicly posted on X or wherever, I hope all these conservatives should die. And here she is putting stuff in your IV, and you're thinking, gosh, I hope she doesn't know I'm a conservative,
My voting record.
I know. Who knows what she's putting in my IV.
Yeah, right. Your son comes to visit you with his red hat on, and like, don't do it. Or, people working in... policymakers,
right?
Teachers people who are influencing your children,
right?
So you're not worried about the both side-isms when it comes to you're saying there is not the moral equivalence that they want to make out.
No, but it does raise another, like when you get to teachers, it makes me think of a couple of other examples, like. Let's say you have somebody who's in a position of public prominence. Like, let's say you're the NFL, and you've got somebody who's an announcer. He's doing the play-by-play or something like that. Does it matter that person in his, not on the show, but in some other thing, goes out and says some bunch of things that's going to offend a big portion of your audience?
Yeah, it does matter.
It does matter.
I mean, you're going. I want my listeners to focus on the game.
Yes.
And the quality of the sportsman's analysis
yes.
of the game. And if they hear his voice and they associate it with, nasty words.
Yeah. Then that's going to detract.
Right.
And that was the situation with Anita Bryant. Remember that way back? A day without orange juice was like a day without sunshine. Anita Bryant was a Disney lady, and she became a spokesperson for I hate saying that. She became a spokesman for the Florida Orange Juice Council.
Right.
But then when there was some issue that came up about some thing about homosexuality, I don't remember exactly what it was. Anita Bryant came out against it, and that became this big political brouhaha, and she got fired from the Orange Juice Council because because she said something that offended gay people.
Right.
And then you had Roger Staubach, who, when he first started being a announcer on the NFL, made a comment about that was kind of making fun of Jimmy Carter.
Ha!
And he was gone like that because they just didn't want politics in the NFL. Nowadays, there's politics all over the NFL, but back in those days, they tried to keep it, you just don't say anything like that. So I can get that. If you have somebody who's a prominent person in your organization
let's just say you're right. So we all believe in the First Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are the celebrity who is the public face for oatmeal, and you want them to be as bland as oatmeal,
you want them to be bland. You do not want them to be associated with Nazis or anything like that.
And some other, but at what point where can you draw the line between Jimmy Oatmeal on his own time?
Yeah, right.
Guy's living his life. He's got his own opinions.
Yeah.
He's da.
Right.
But
what's the difference between Roger Staubach or Anita Bryant getting fired because they're this very prominent person in a very important position, and somebody who's the senior editor on your magazine, who says something that some small group of people are offended about? Like, where do you draw the line between those two?
How far outside of the Overton window do you have to go? Like, so, yes, so a guy is right-leaning, right? A guy is a pro-Trump Republican. That should be, more than half the country voted for him. That shouldn't be too offensive to anybody.
Yeah.
Or a Harris fan. Okay. I mean, how far do you have to stray before you start to damage the brand? And so I guess in terms of this cancel culture, which I think is subsiding.
Yeah.
About where that window is and what's an acceptable opinion to have, and when can corporations say, he's just a guy with an opinion.
Up until Jimmy Kimmel, it's only been when you offend the left that you get canceled. And I think that's what was the origin of your concern about this was, up until now, cancel culture was exclusively, you said something that made the left mad, therefore you should be fired.
Right. Well, hold on. But you would have to go this far.
Except for Dylan Mulvaney.
Kathy Griffin.
Yeah.
You have to literally hold the head of the sitting president.
Mm-hmm.
That's how far you have to go on the left to get any pushback.
Yeah.
Right. So it's basically up until the actual beheading of a president.
Right.
So there is cancel culture on the left, but that's how far you have to go to get there.
Yeah, that's right. But on the right, all you have to do is say, "I'm not sure about hate crimes."
Say, I don't think we should have open borders.
Right, and no, that's not acceptable.
You have moved beyond the window.
Yes. So it's when you mentioned the Overton window, it reminded me of something I heard a couple days ago about why does Trump say all these outrageous things. And this person was making the argument.
Is he moving the window?
Yes. That he says outrageous things because he wants to move the window. And I think that's a very interesting point.
Yes. I mean, people have underestimated Trump, his whole political career.
Yes.
Like, he's just a business dope fumbling his way through, and maybe and he may not even be conscious of it. He could just have such natural political talent that he is a step ahead of you, and you don't even realize it.
Yeah, and maybe he doesn't even realize
it.
That's right. So let's get to Jimmy Kimmel. So we get Charlie Kirk assassinated, and Jimmy Kimmel comes out and says something that was just plain false, and he knew it was false.
Had to know.
There's no way, unless he is an absolute imbecile, there's no way that he could not have known that what he said was false.
But is it possible that the left-wing bubble is so sealed, it is so tight, that when he tries this material out on his writers and everybody in the room, there's not a single person in the room that's going to go, you know what? Maybe that.
Well, okay.
or were there people going there and he goes, I don't care.
Okay, well, let's explore that for a minute because that's a very interesting point. So Megyn Kelly was saying that when she's going to say something on her show, she has a team of people who checks the stuff. Checks what she's going to say to make sure that she's not missing something and she's not misrepresenting something.
Okay.
So you have to assume that Jimmy Kimmel
big staff.
has a staff.
50 people working for them.
Who are going around checking to see. So the question is, what Jimmy Kimmel said was that...
Yeah, go ahead. Give me the rule.
He was saying that the MAGA right was trying to pretend that the guy who shot Charlie Kirk was not one of theirs.
Yes.
And there was all this evidence that he was clearly not a MAGA. Now, first of all, we don't even know if this guy actually did it. It seems very likely that he did, but we don't actually know. But there was all this evidence. He was in a gay relationship with a furry guy.
Transitioning furry guy or something.
And his family had said that he'd been saying
stuff on the bullets and a conservative family going. He's really getting out there.
He's been saying a bunch of crazy. So there was all kinds of reason.
There was nothing leaning towards that. So yes. Yeah. So all right. So this was completely made up, and there's no way that he doesn't come out there and wing it. It's written down on a teleprompter. And everybody knows he's going to say it.
And 50 people have checked it. Despite all of that, he said something that he had to know was false.
Okay.
And people were upset about that. And okay, also, who is Jimmy Kimmel? I think I might have seen 30 seconds of him in my entire life.
Yeah, well, I know. Back he and Adam Carolla had the Man Show, which is a very macho, sort of. I always considered it sort of a conservative-leaning show. The show ended. Every single show ended with girls on trampolines, watching girls in skimpy shorts on trampolines. All right.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I never saw that show.
Yeah.
See, I don't know.
So that's all I knew. And then he got this gig, and Adam Carolla did something else, and I kind of got a sense of his politics. Yeah. And then Jimmy Kimmel, this whole all of these guys are supposed to be cut out of the Johnny Carson cloth.
Oh, I know.
And there's just nothing to it.
Like
it's not funny.
Like it's Johnny Carson wouldn't talk politics. He intentionally decided not to talk about politics.
And I'm sure they would. Here you go. I just got some numbers for you.
Okay.
I got Colbert, Daily Show, Seth Meyers, Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, Trevor Noah. I don't think he's around anymore. John Corden. So this is the guests that they had on their show by political affiliation.
Okay.
Can I share with you some numbers?
Yeah. Okay. This looks like a
pretty
game,
balanced.
A game between the Washington Redskins and the Laurel the Laurel Junior Pee-wees. So Colbert, 176 liberals, 1 conservative. Daily Show, 157 liberals, 9 conservatives.
I would have guessed that would be at least like somewhere close.
Yeah. When you add it all up, 511 liberals to 14 conservatives.
Yes.
So these late night comics, so-called comics, are hard left agitators.
So my question is, with Kimmel's show and his 50 employees and his tens of millions of dollars, I'm hearing he has averages like 150,000 viewers.
Yeah.
Are you getting? Can you possibly be charging?
No, it's
advertising.
There's
money?
No way they're making money.
So right. So this is which is exactly where I'm going.
Right.
So you are, as a network.
Yeah. Making an in-kind contribution to the Democratic Party.
Yes.
Is what you're doing.
Yes.
So
acting like. So all right. So what about the firing then? If they're totally on board with all of this, how did they get to the point of the firing?
Yeah, well, supposedly, so okay, the left wing, the left
crossed
wing
the Kathy Griffin head chopping line.
Yeah, right. The left wing narrative is that the Trump administration, through the Secretary of FCC, right, the FCC guy, that guy put pressure on the network to fire him. That's the left wing narrative. So this was
Disney owns the network,
right? And this was the government is trampling on the First Amendment and blah, blah, blah. That was the left-wing narrative. The right-wing narrative is that all the local TV shows were like, we're just not on board with this guy anymore. He's not making any money. We don't like him. He's not funny. He doesn't appeal to our people. We don't like him. Yeah. Let's just get rid of him.
Local affiliates there's I don't know, Clearwater. I don't know.
Some other network. I forgot what it was.
I mean, not network, but I mean group that owns groups of local affiliates.
Yes. Right.
They own 30 stations in these places.
Yeah.
30 stations that are not in big blue cities.
Right.
And another one, same thing.
And they're like, this guy's not funny. Apparently, I haven't watched late night comics since the Wild and Crazy Guys skit by Steve Martin. So, I mean, I just don't watch that stuff at all.
Right.
But from what I understand, none of this stuff is funny. Like, none of these guys are funny. No. It's just all political commentary.
Right. So he gets fired.
Yeah.
Then they say after a week, I don't know what they rethink it, and
couple 3 days.
They decide we're going to bring him back. The local affiliate said, well, you can bring him back, but there's not going to show in our network.
And then who's Pocahontas? What's her? Senator Warren?
Yeah.
Senator Warren and a couple other senators wanted to investigate those channels for not bringing him back.
So, I would say, right, they go, look, our stations, we're not in Chicago and New York and LA.
Yeah. Our guys hunt and fish.
We think that we can, do better.
Yeah.
We can get more viewers showing
Larry the Cable Guy or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we're not going to, however, since then, even they've come back.
Yeah.
And his numbers have still dropped. So you're losing money on all of these guys, Colbert, all of these guys. Why? Because you live in the LA bubble.
Yes.
And it's you are willing to lose that to fight the good fight.
Yes. What they are doing is giving an in-kind contribution to the Democratic Party by paying these guys absurd salaries that they don't earn because they don't have the viewership. So Greg Gutfeld kills all of these guys every single night.
Yeah.
But they're paying
these guys are on network.
Yeah. Well, that's the other issue is that there's a difference between cable TV and broadcast TV. Yeah. Because broadcast TV uses the airwaves, and the airwaves are a public good, and the FCC is supposed to regulate them for the common good.
Yeah.
So is it in the common good for all of the late night so-called comics to be left-wing lunatics?
Well, I don't know if you listen to the Megyn Kelly, where she ran down this long list of Democrat politicians pushing the FCC to go after stations and for this very reason, that they're not balanced enough. I remember them saying, well, Rush Limbaugh, they're going, there's not enough counter programming to Rush Limbaugh. He's the only one who during this time slot has this, and his political opinion is all one-sided. You have an obligation to tell the other side or something like that. So they have a long history of pushing for the FCC to punish stations that carry Fox or lean right.
Yes.
So don't act like that this is shocked about.
And then this whole thing.
Just let me finish. The fact is, this decision doesn't have to be made on political grounds.
Right.
It could just be made on we're losing money on your asses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So this whole narrative that the left was trying to promote that. This is a horrible violation of the First Amendment, and the government is cracking down on all this kind of stuff. What about Elizabeth Warren and the other guy investigating these people who don't want to bring Jimmy Kimmel back? Isn't that the government cracking down on?
Yeah.
And what about the really funny thing about this?
You can't choose. You choose to show things and not show things, every day. That's your job.
Yeah, that's what they
and
do.
So if you're choosing not to show Jimmy Kimmel, that's what you're constitutionally required to show Jimmy Kimmel?
Right. So one of the really ironic things about this story is that while the left is screaming about this assault on the First Amendment and free speech, we're simultaneously hearing stories that the Biden administration coerced Google into canceling speech on YouTube at the very same week, in the very same news cycle.
Yeah.
We're hearing all this
and Mark
garbage.
Zuckerberg has already admitted it.
Yes.
They said they came to them and they put pressure on us, and so we did it.
Very same news cycle. We hear Jake Tappert and all the morons on the left coming out and saying, oh, this is a horrible assault on the First Amendment and blah, blah, blah. At the very same time, we're hearing what the Biden administration actually did with...
Yes, and Google's like offers an apology and says, oh, you guys can all come back. It wasn't our idea to cancel you. That came from the government.
Yeah, they pushed us into it. So,
and
but that's
how much
not
coverage did that get?
Not very much. So now here's the other thing that I'm wondering about. Is this just a clash of culture, a clash of values? This whole thing about cancel culture, so you were trying to be honest and say, am I being fair, applying the same rules to the question of cancel culture, right?
Yeah.
When I was saying before that cancel culture is bad, and now I'm rejoicing in the fact that these nurses and doctors and all these other people are being fired because they're saying this nasty stuff.
Am I being fair?
Am I being fair? So you are applying your values to this, but what I see this whole cancel culture as being is the attempt of the left to mainstream their values, right? They're trying to say, we're going to push our values so that everybody has to follow our set of values. You can't say anything different than our values. If you say men are not women, you don't deserve. Right. You shouldn't be able to put food on your. Yeah, children. We're not going to argue against you. No. We're going to shout you down. We're going to destroy you.
We're just going to declare you as evil and unworthy of even making a living.
And your children should starve. And yes, everything should go bad for you, because. So what this is like this strong arm attempt to push the wackiest far left values on society by saying, we're going to scream at you, we're going to yell at you, we're going to go after your advertisers, we're going to go to your boss and tell them you must be fired because you're not following what we say. Yeah. That's cancel culture. And that's not what happened with Jimmy Kimmel. That's not.
And how is that? Just to clarify, and how is that different from people celebrating Charlie Kirk's assassination?
Yeah, because there's all the difference in the world.
Isn't that just free speech and?
Well, there's all the difference in the world between disagreeing with somebody on a political issue and celebrating death. Now, Jimmy Kimmel didn't celebrate Charlie Kirk's death. No. So I don't want to say bad things about Jimmy Kimmel. He said something that was just stupid and wrong.
False.
But in the context of the left, I don't think Jimmy Kimmel should have been. Honestly, I don't think he should have been fired for what he said. I think he was wrong and it was stupid.
And I think the idea of local affiliates going, you know what, we've had it. And that's not.
And that was just the straw that broke the camel's back. He's been losing money for all this time, and he's not funny, and he's not bringing in the audience. So let's just get rid of him. So yeah.
All right. Well, before we go, I got a suggestion.
Okay, what's that?
Why not all of those local affiliates?
Yeah.
You've already got how many guys? You got Colbert. Well, Daily Show's off. Colbert, Myers, Kimmel, and Fallon.
Yeah.
You got four. Right. You got four guys to zero.
Right.
So what if the local affiliates ask the Babylon Bee to do a comedy show, which they've got plenty of writers and plenty of they do a lot of skits and stuff like that.
Sure.
It would be like Greg Gutfeld.
Yeah.
It would crush all four of them at once.
Or they could invite the Pigweed and Crowhill show.
We could do a segment.
Another option.
Yeah. We got a little material.
We could do some. Yeah. Get the Ben Franklin players out here.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely.
All right, let's put this one to bed here. Yeah. And yes, so no, there is no equivalency between somebody who disagrees with you politically and somebody who wants you dead.
Yes, no equivalency at all.
All right.
Cheers. Thanks so much for listening to Beer and Conversation with Pigweed and Crowhill. Remember to visit us at pigweedandcrowhill.com or send us an email at pigweedshow@gmail.com.